everyone, welcome back to my channel, and welcome to day 7 of Bookmas. Today I'm just going to kind of quickly go through the audiobooks I've read this year. I personally do not count an audiobook as a read book. It does not count towards like my Goodreads goal. If I really like an audiobook, I will buy it as a physical book or I'll read it on Kindle and then I will count it, but that's just my opinion. I don't really care how people count their books. That's just how I do it. So none of the books that I've listened to as audiobooks have been in my wrap-ups because I don't talk about them as a book that I read. So I'm going to quickly go through the ones that I've read this year because there's been 50 so far, and then I'll tell you the 2 that I plan on listening to in December. I will probably only get to 2 this month just because Christmas music. So I'm not going to go into too much detail on them because like I said, there's been 50. January through November, I listened to 50 audiobooks, so I don't have time to talk about all of them in detail. I will tell you about the ones that I really liked and if I did end up purchasing and reading any of them physically. So January, I started the year off with The Off Limits Rule by Sarah Adams, and then went into The Temporary Roomie right after that by her, which I believe is like an interconnected standalone from what I remember. I think they're also like older books by her. They're not like Cheat Sheet or the When in Rome series. They're not as new as those. Then I listened to Mile High by Liz Tom Ford. I did then go on and buy all of the books in this series and read them later on in the year. Then I listened to Done and Dusted by Lila Sage. Loved that one. That is a series I may eventually buy and read physically. You'll see I've listened to another one in that series as well this year. And then I finished off the month with The Right Move by Liz Tom Ford. Those are the only 2 that I listened to in the Windy City series. 3 and 4 I purchased and just read. I didn't listen to them beforehand, but I had gone back and read 1 and 2 in that series as well. In February, I started off with Canadian Boyfriend by Jenny Holiday. This was really cute. I did enjoy this one. My sister actually ended up buying the book, so I could read it physically if I wanted to. I didn't love it enough to go buy the book, but I did have a good time with that. Then I listened to The American Roommate Experiment by Elena Armas. Really liked that one. Next, I went into The Graham Effect by Elle Kennedy. That was the start of my Elle Kennedy journey. I have not read that book yet, but my sister has gone on to purchase the first 2 Off-Campus Diaries books, and I do plan on reading them at some point. I do want to read the Briar U. I've read the Off-Campus series. I want to read Briar U before I go into the Campus Diaries series. Then I listened to Begin Again by Emma Lord. That one was okay. I don't remember too much about it, but it was a Taylor Swift song title, so I had to give it a shot. Then I listened to Spoiler Alert by Olivia Dade. This is the first in an interconnected standalone series. And then I listened to Maybe Once, Maybe Twice by Allison Rose Greenberg. In March, I started with Accidentally Amy by Lynn Painter. I did see something about this being like published this year, so I don't know if it's being like republished. I think this is one of her older books. I'd never seen it before. When I saw that come up, I immediately was intrigued. But I did enjoy that one. I like Lynn Painter. I've read other books by her, and I have listened to another one that will be on this list. I've enjoyed every single one of her books. They're a good time. Then I listened to Second First Impressions by Sally Thorne, Dating Dr. Dill by Nisha Sharma. That one was really cute. I did really enjoy that one. I remember a good chunk of that as well. The Hating Game by Sally Thorne. I still have not read this book physically. I don't know that I will. Again, it's another one my sister owns that I could easily read. I liked it. I didn't love it, so I don't know that I'll go back and read it. Then I finished out March by listening to When in Rome, followed immediately by Practice Makes Perfect by Sarah Adams, and I do plan on purchasing these books and buying them at some point, and the new book comes out, I believe, in January, the 3rd book in that series, so I don't think I will listen to that one. I think I will wait and buy them and then read up to that, and the first time I consume that book will be physically. April, I only listened to 3. The first was What Happens After Midnight by K.L. Walther. The second was The Fake Mate by Lana Ferguson. I loved this book. I love Lana Ferguson. I discovered her this year via audiobook, but I'm pretty sure the first book coming in my Afterlight subscription in January is one of her books, so I'm very excited to finally read one of her books physically and own one of them because they're such a good time, especially like the little paranormal aspects that she puts into some of them. Really loved. And then I listened to Things You Save in a Fire by Catherine Center. This ignited my love for Catherine Center. I had not read a book by her before. I loved this story. I may eventually buy it. She's not an author that I'm at this point itching to go read her entire backlist, but I would. if I caught up on some of the other authors that I would prioritize over that. I loved that book. In her Her stories are so emotional and very low spice, which just makes them even more of an emotional read, I think, because it focuses on deeper things going on in these people's lives and how they're handling them than just like a book full of spice. The Bodyguard was the same way. I went on and read that physically later on in the year because I enjoyed that book so much. In May, I started with Twisted Love by Anna Huang. I really liked this audiobook, therefore I went and bought the entire Twisted series. I am now on the final book. I will be reading the final book this month. I'm pre-filming these, obviously. I will probably have read it by the time this video comes out, but at this point in time, I have not read it. Then I listened to Ciao for Now by Kate Bromley, Wanderlust by Ellie Everhart, Swift and Saddled by Lila Sage. That is the second book in that something series. I can't remember what it's called. And I loved that book just as much as the first one listening to it. So again, and those covers are adorable. I have so many books on my physical TBR. It has not been a priority to go out and purchase those books and read them physically yet. But it is something that maybe in the summer I'll do when it's more appropriate to read a cowboy romance, in my opinion. And then I finish out the month with Once More with Feeling by Alyssa Sussman. In June, I started with The Roommate Pack by Allison Ashley. Then I read With Love from Cold World by Alicia Thompson. I've heard mixed reviews about this, and I probably would say that I agree with that. I'm happy that I just listened to it and didn't go out and buy the book. I have read a book by her before. I want to say it's like the one about serial killers. Is that hers? But I did enjoy that one, but this one was it was just a little weird. Not terrible, but just a little out there. I think the couple was a little bit they didn't sync well, in my opinion, but I still enjoyed it. If I finished an audiobook, I'm only talking about the ones I finished. I'm just going to preface this. I have started audiobooks, not liked them, and just stopped listening to them. So if I'm talking about one now, it's because I finished it. Just going to let you know. Then I listened to Not Here to Stay Friends by Caitlin Hill. Next to You by Hannah Bonham Young. This also made me want to go out and buy a few of her books. I think that one was actually the second in a series, but her audiobooks are always such long waits on Libby that I saw that one and was like, I really just want to, test out her writing style, see if I like it, because I heard so many people talking about Out on a Limb that I listened to that and I really did enjoy it. So I think she may be an author that I delve more into in 2025. We'll see. And then I listened to Make a Wish by Helena Hunting and The Reunion by Kayla Olson. July started off with Collide by Balcabra. This is a book I could see myself eventually buying and reading, especially now that I know it's going to be interconnected standalones. I think Spiral comes out at the beginning of the year, and that's the next one in it. That was the first book I've ever listened to by her. That may have been her debut. I don't know. I've never heard about any other books that she's written, and I really liked it. It was spicy, but I love a good hockey romance, so anything that is decent and has a hockey player in it, I'm probably going to want to read it. So that is a series I could eventually see myself possibly purchasing. Then I listened to Maggie Moves On by Lucy Score. Lucy Score is one of my favorite authors. I don't know that I will buy this one to read. I liked it, but because it's a standalone and I don't know that she has so many other books, I don't know that I would want to go back and read one that I've already consumed. We'll see. It could happen at some point, but as for now, it's just been an audiobook and it was a very cute story. Then I listened to The Enemy Trap by Maren Moore, Betting on You by Lynn Painter. This was what really started me purchasing some of her books. So I did eventually purchase other ones. I have not read Betting on You physically. I may eventually, but I have read other books by her and have loved them. So this year I did discover her via audiobooks and then physically purchased some other ones. And then I listened to My Life with the Walter Boys by Ali Novak. That was an interesting book. I think that's a movie or a TV movie or series right now. That was an interesting book. August started off with A Love Catastrophe by Helena Hunting. That's the second one I listened to by her. She's a fun time. I do enjoy her books. Will I go out and purchase a lot of them? I don't know. Right now, again, not a priority, but if I see an audiobook by her, I'm definitely going to click to borrow. At First Spite by Olivia Dade, which is not an interconnected standalone with the original Olivia Dade book that I listened to earlier in the year, but I'll get to that at the end of the month. Then I listened to 10 Trends to Seduce Your Best Friend by Penny Reed. That was, again, a very interesting book. That one was one that I almost did stop listening to a few times, but it wasn't very long, so I did get through it. And then I listened to All the Feels by Olivia Dade, and that was the second one in the, spoiler alert, interconnected standalone series. I don't know what it's called, but it's about this like famous show that kind of reminds me of Game of Thrones level, and they were kind of finishing it up, and the one guy writes fan fiction, and he has like a beta reader that he uses on fan fiction, and they both read each other's stuff. and it ends up being the love interest. That's the love interest situation in the first book. And then the second one is his best friend from that show, who is kind of like the bad boy in Hollywood, and he has a really bad reputation, and they give him basically a handler to help bring his reputation back up, and that's that romance. So it was cute. I do like the one of us is famous trope. It can be done very well. It can be done in a way that I don't like, but in this little interconnected series, I really did enjoy both of those. And then I finished out the month with Planes, Trains, and Automobiles by Livy Hart. In September, I only listened to one audiobook. I was on a big Taylor Swift kick in September, and I also did travel a bit, so I was on vacation, so I didn't really listen to many audiobooks because I do primarily listen to them driving to and from work. But the one I listened to in September was Witty and Pink by Erica George, and this was like a Regency Bridgerton with a twist, and I really liked this book. Like, I could see myself buying this one, and I'm not sure if it's going to be part of a series, but it was one that I just randomly found, and I thought it was adorable. I really did enjoy that one. October, I read Dungeons and Drama by Christy Boyce, and I think I did just see that she's releasing a follow-up to this one as well. That was cute. It was a YA romance, so nothing spectacular, and I'm not really like a Dungeons and Dragons girl, so it is what it is, but it was cute. Then I listened to Ready or Not by Cara Bastone. This is a book I could see myself going out and buying. A, it's beautiful. B, I loved this book. It was so good. And it did take turns that I didn't think it was gonna take. And it did it so well. And the like proclamation of love at the end of this book just had me like gasping for breath. It was, and I think even more so that I like listened to someone say it. It caught me off guard. So that was a good book. Then I finished off the month with two Lana Ferguson books. The first being The Nanny, which was a spicy book. And I learned a lot about OnlyFans in that book. I didn't really know much about it. I'm not an OnlyFans person. So it's not what I thought it was, but to each their own. And then I finished off the month with The Game Changer, which is a hockey romance. So we all know how I feel about those. In November, I listened to The Wake Up Call by Beth O'Leary. Wrapped Up with a Bow by Lily Vale. So that was my first like holiday romance that I listened to this year. I think that I'm going to consume my holiday books that way from now on, just because I don't want to go out and buy like all these Christmas books. There are some that I will reread. But I do have one for this year just because it's part of the Dream Harbor series. I'm going to read The Christmas Tree Farm. And I like Love Light Farms and everything because again, it's part of a series. But I think I've made the decision that my Christmassy reads will be consumed to be audiobooks that I can find on Libby and or Spotify. Then I listened to Mad About You by Mari McFarlane. I didn't love this one. Again, it was one that I was like, I'm already so far in, I'll just finish it. I don't know what it was about it, but I didn't love it. And I closed out the month with Highly Suspicious and Fairly Cute by Talia Hibbert, which was very adorable. For December, the two books that I plan on listening to at this moment, I'm already partway through Happy Medium by Sarah Adler. I know it's kind of like not the right time of the year for that, but it looked adorable, and it's still like fantasy magical realism, which is like the perfect time of the year for it, is like, you know, the holidays when everything just feels a little bit more magical. I know most people would probably think you need to read that in October, but I'm enjoying it. And then I'm gonna hopefully get to Talk Santa to Me by Linda Urban, which is a holiday romance. It's very short, so I should be able to get through it even though I want to listen to Christmas music this month. That would mean 52 audiobooks this year, which is about one a week. That's pretty accurate because some obviously are longer than others. I do listen to music too. I listen to podcasts at times. I go through phases. But this year has definitely been an audiobook year for me, and I think I'm going to continue to consume romance novels that way. If you haven't noticed, every single book I listed off was a romance novel. I cannot listen to fantasy or thrillers, at least not while I'm driving. If I was sitting down, just focused on that, potentially I may be able to absorb the information that way, but when I'm focused on driving, I can't listen to anything but a romance because you don't have to be like fully in tuned with it to know what's going on. So that is how I'm gonna leave it because I don't want to ruin another book. I don't want to ruin a fantasy or a thriller because I'm not paying attention. So let me know in the comments below what your favorite audiobook you listened to this year was, if you listen to those, where you get them. Are you an Audible user? Are you a Spotify user? Do you use the Libby app like I do? And give me some suggestions for some good romance novels to listen to on audiobook, which ones you really liked. I would also be open to listening to ones that I've already read that I really enjoyed if the audiobook is really good. I do prefer dual point of view stories. I have found I actually have started looking for the ones where I see two narrators, so I know that it's a male and a female going back and forth. I like those ones better. But I still will listen to one that is just usually the female that is telling the story. So give me some suggestions below so I can start putting my requests in on the Libby app for next year. And I thank you all so much for watching if you've made it this far, and hope to see you all for Bookmas Day 8.